Today we're moving on to section 2 where we're going to solve equations for specified variables. So these equations aren't really going to necessarily have numbers in them. We're just going to be rearranging and solving for the letter that they're asking for. When you're solving an equation for a specified variable, treat that variable as if it were the only one and pretend like all the other variables are just numbers. So for example, we're not going to solve this one, but this is what it's going to look like. It's going to give you the equation L equals PRT, and it wants you to solve for T. So we're just going to be undoing operations and getting letters by themselves. Okay, here's the first one. We have P equals 2L plus 2W, and it says 4W. So this 4W means this is what we're solving for. So I'm going to go ahead and circle the W in the equation, so that way I remember that that's what I'm trying to get by itself. And then we need to move everything away from it. So first thing I look to get rid of is addition and subtraction. So the 2L is being added to the 2W right now. So the opposite of adding is subtracting. So I'm going to subtract 2L from both sides. So on the right hand side, I'm left with 2W. On the left hand side, I can't put those together, so I'm just going to rewrite it. P minus 2L. Or some students might write negative 2L plus P, but it's the same thing. Okay, now I'm a step closer to getting W by itself, but not quite. So the 2 and the W are attached by multiplication. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I need to divide by 2. On the right-hand side, I'm left with W. On the left-hand side, I've got P minus 2L over 2. Now, since we're in college algebra, I expect these to be reduced. So the way that we do that is I need to break this up and pretend like this is two different fractions. So I've got P over 2, and then I've also got negative 2L over 2. So I need to reduce both of those. P over 2 is not going to reduce, so I'm just going to rewrite it. Negative 2L over 2, well, the negative 2 and the 2 can cancel out with just a negative sign, so it's going to be minus L. So P over 2 minus L equals W. So that's the solution to the first one. Next one, I've got y equals 5x minus 6. And then this x in parentheses, that just means that that's what we're solving for. So I'm going to put a circle around x. Now I need to get x by itself, so I need to start moving things away from it. So I'm going to start by adding 6 to both sides. So y plus 6 equals 5x. And then I need to get the 5 to move over to the other side. Right now it's being multiplied, so I need to divide. So on the right-hand side, I've just got x, which is what I wanted. On the left, I've got y plus 6 over 5. Now we need to think about, can this be reduced? Well, think about the two fractions. We've got y over 5, and we've got 6 over 5. Does y over 5 reduce? No. Does 6 over 5 reduce? No. So I'm just going to leave that as my final answer. Okay. Next example, I've got x equals 2y minus z over 4. And then off to the right-hand side, I have z in parentheses. So that means that's what I'm solving for. I'm going to circle it. Now this one is set up as a fraction. The variable we're solving for is in the top. So anytime we have a fraction, we've got to get rid of the fraction and get it to be in smaller terms. So first thing, the z and the 4 are being divided right now. The opposite of dividing is multiplying. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. So 4x equals 2y minus z. Okay, now I need to get rid of the 2y. So I'm going to subtract 2y from both sides. On the right-hand side, I'm left with negative z. On the left-hand side, 4x minus 2y, well, we can't put those together as one term because they aren't alike, so I just need to rewrite it. 4x minus 2y. Now the z is almost by itself, but not quite. I need to get rid of that negative sign, so I need to divide. So on the right-hand side, I've just got z, which is what I wanted. On the left-hand side, when you divide by a negative sign, all you have to do is change signs. So the 4x becomes negative, and the negative 2y becomes positive. No fraction or anything like that that needs to be reduced, so that would be in smallest terms. Next example, I have A equals 2HW plus 2LW plus 2LH, and we are solving for L. Solving for L. So I've got two L's here, which is a problem. I can only have one. So this problem is going to be solved a little bit differently, but there's going to be examples like this on your homework and then on the Chapter 2 test as well. So every time you see a problem that is set up like this, it's going to be solved the same way. So the first thing we need to do is get rid of the term that has nothing to do with L. So I need to subtract 2HW from both sides. So on the right, I've got 2LW plus 2LH. And on the left, I have A minus 2HW. Because those can't be put together, they're just going to stay separate. Now, I have two terms that have L in it, so I need to get that down to be just one L. So I'm going to reverse distribute. So I'm going to take an L out of both of those terms. And then the left-hand side isn't changing yet. So I took this L and brought it out, took this L and brought it out. And that's how we got this one here. This is what I'm solving for. Okay, now I need to think about the relationship between the L and that set of parentheses. Well, right now they're being multiplied, so in order to undo multiplying, we have to divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2W plus 2H. Notice I took the parentheses with it because those are locked together right now. Since I took the L out, those are always going to need to be attached by parentheses. And then for this one, I can't do any reducing because the 2W and 2H are locked in parentheses, so I'm just going to rewrite what I have. So L is by itself, and then on the left-hand side I have A minus 2HW over 2W plus 2H. And your homework is on Google Classroom.